Hey, zombie besties, how y'all doing today? Guys' best friend's back. The fake microphone. Just kidding. It's like my third fucking time trying to film this video, but oh well, whatever. Welcome to Brains Inc. I am Stephanie, your host, the only YouTube channel where we talk about anything and all things zombie from all across the board. So today I have a very fun video for you guys. I'm going to be talking to you guys about the strange history and link between zombies and vampires. You cannot talk about zombie history without talking about vampire history, because you guys may not know that zombies actually came from vampires. Now, I'm not going to get into the whole beginning and end history of how vampires are a part of zombie lore. I'm just going to be giving you guys like the basics and the main points that you guys need to consider when thinking about or discussing the zombie genre. So if you guys remember my previous video, I mentioned that in Romero's Night of the Living Dead, he refers to his zombies as ghouls. He didn't even consider them to be zombies in the beginning. The term zombie was coined mostly by the media way later on in Romero's career. And his movie was based off of, I'm sorry, I'm looking down right here because I have notes, so you guys are going to have to bear with me here. Richard Matheson's book from 1954, I Am Legend, which is a book about vampires. It's about the last man on Earth who has to deal with combating vampires basically for the rest of his life, because he's the only person there. And I do want to read the book one day, so that's pretty cool. So yeah, Night of the Living Dead was based on a book by vampires. And also another influential book that was around at the same time was The Last Man on Earth. Both of these books were very influential to Romero's work, and they're very important when talking about the history, specifically about the modern zombie. It's also worth mentioning that some notable vampire directors actually had their own hand in the zombies genre itself. And one example of that is Jean Rollin, a French film director who is mostly known for his work with the undead, specifically vampires. He was responsible for films such as Rape of the Vampire, which was released in 1968. And he also helped with the production of some other vampire films. He mainly worked with short films in the beginning of his career, and then he slowly made up his way through the ranks with more longer featured films. And the zombie film that he's responsible for is Grapes of Death, which was released in 1978. And this film is really interesting because it's considered to be a parallel to Romero's Night of the Living Dead, even though Jean Rollins claims that there's no correlation to the movie whatsoever. It has a similar setting and a similar atmosphere. These people trapped in a room having to be rid of themselves of vampires, much like Romero's Night of the Living Dead, where the survivors are trapped in the house. They had to fend for themselves in the outside world against zombies. So you see like this similar structure in between the two movies. And I personally haven't seen Grapes of Death, but part of my zombie studies as an aspiring zombie scholar, I do intend to take a more deeper dive into vampire history and vampire lore, because I think it could help me better understand the zombie genre. And I think one book that can really help with these studies is Len Kaye's Zombie Movies, The Ultimate Guide. This book literally has every single zombie film that you can ever think of, starting from the 1920s all the way. I actually don't know how far it goes. I haven't finished reading the entire book, but it looks like it looks like it actually covers all zombie films. Got some really cool pictures there. But yeah, it mentions all kinds of zombies from the Atomic Age, from the Voodoo Age, some films that can be considered more vampire films instead of zombies, or somewhere in the middle and in between. So yeah, I highly recommend that you pick up this book if you really want to know about the history of each individual film. So that's really good. I have a lot of other really good books in my collection to help me better understand the zombie genre. If you really examine vampires closely, they have a lot of similar characteristics to zombies as well. Both creatures used to be alive, got killed, and rose from the grave. Both have some retention of their humanity, or have the potential to have some retention of their humanity. Both vampires and zombies come from the grave, or coffin, if you will. Both vampires and zombies need people to sustain themselves, with vampires being blood and zombies being flesh. Both creatures, depending on what lens you're looking at them from, can be considered demon hellspawn type creatures. If you take a look at Lucio Fulci's The Beyond, you'll realize that zombies are more portrayed like hellspawn. They do come from hell. You see a lot of similarities between vampires and zombies. I would really consider them to be maybe cousins or ancestors. I'm gonna take a sip. I've been talking really fast. And it's really funny because a while ago I had a surgery performed, and while I was laying down and recovering, I had binge watched the TV series True Blood, which I enjoyed. It's not that great of a TV show, but I did find some personal enjoyment in. And there was a scene where they were having a Halloween party, and I noticed one of the individuals dressed as a zombie, and I thought to myself in my head, it's kind of funny that seeing a zombie in a vampire show, given their shared history with each other. So I thought that was a neat thing to think about. But yeah, I am starting to take a look at more vampire media, starting to really study the culture, because honestly, vampire culture really does fascinate me. And I've been just making the connections and seeing the parallels, and you really see similarities yet slight differences in culture and how that culture has evolved over time. Some interesting examples of zombies acting more vampirish would be Kung Fu Zombies, I Am Legend. There's been a long-standing debate about whether creatures in I Am Legend are vampires or zombies or not, because they do seem to attack and eat meat and living people, but they do burn in the sunlight. But I am pretty sure that they are vampires in general. And another film that I really think that we need to talk about is The Omega Man, which this movie was also inspired by Matheson's I Am Legend film. And this is where the vampires kind of act more zombie-ish, or really vice versa. The zombies, vampires, ghouls in here, kind of a little bit of, how would you say, a little bit of a mixed crowd when it comes to what these creatures actually are, because the way that these people turn into vampires is that there's actually a disease that spreads in the movie. The movie is about humanity looking for a way to curtail global warming. However, in the process, the chemical that they used caused a virus to outbreak, and it has turned everyone into ghoulish monsters and psychopaths, basically. His film, I highly recommend you watch it. I really like it. It was made in the 70s. For our main character, he was able to find other survivors to help him on his journey through the ghoulish town of Los Angeles. This is a film where you can kind of look at the vampires as zombies, or vice versa, or maybe even a hybrid of both. I consider these guys to be more vampires because they do not like the light. They only come out at night specifically. They do talk. They do have some resemblance of intelligence, and they're kind of like culty. Like anyone who becomes infected approaches the leader, Matthias, and he's kind of like the leader of everyone, and they work very similarly to like a cult, with the way that they act and everything. But yeah, really good movie. You guys should check it out. Yeah, I just wanted to highlight the importance of vampires in zombie culture, because it is there. And I really do think that zombies should be up there with their counterparts, such as the vampire and the werewolf, because zombies have a rich history, even though it's not really that well known, and they do have a connection to vampires, so they are a part of Hollywood. They are a part of the Hollywood narrative of horror creatures and the horror genre itself. So I really think that zombies need more notoriety, specifically in the horror scene, because it is a subsect of horror. So I think that that is really important. Yeah, I just really wanted to highlight the importance of these two categories. So that's going to be all for today, everyone. Like, share, comment, subscribe, do all the good things. And I'll see you again next week with a brand new video. Stay ghouly, stay scared. See you later.